What is going on, fellow heroes? Welcome to another episode of the Marvel Rewind. In this case, the Miss Marvel series. I am Brian here. As my freaking Airshim is like freaking out behind me. I didn't realize my chair was that close to it.
Your whole thing was moving.
I know. I just like all of a sudden I see Airshim's head just going like that. I'm like, earthquake? Nope, that's just me. Welcome to another episode. This is our episode number 4 for Miss Marvel's Marvel Rewind. Yeah, how you doing, good sir?
I'm doing okay. It's
You and Wednesdays don't get along.
No, never do. Especially today. Today was a very long day at work. Yesterday was a very long day at work. I was working until about. Let's see, we had a Pocket Flix at 7. I was working until about like 6:15 yesterday. Like I was home, but I was on my phone and doing stuff. And it's kind of like carried over to today a little bit. But I'm okay. You know, it was weird today just to begin with, because it's the first week in a while we don't have Obi-Wan. And it's like that's what I've always done, like kind of starting my Wednesdays is watching Obi-Wan. And all we have is Miss Marvel, and that's not a bad thing. Like I'm very much looking forward to watching this episode. I think, or talking about this episode. Excuse me, not watching. I've watched it already. Anyway, Brian, how are you?
Good. Yeah, no, I'm just it's funny because you said the Obi-Wan thing. This is the first episode of Miss Marvel I didn't stay up till midnight and watched in the morning. I don't know if the adrenaline of Obi-Wan kept me up till midnight, because at like 10:30.
So you watched both at midnight?
When Obi-Wan was out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go Obi-Wan, Miss Marvel, just like power.
Like, you didn't have to wake up for work, I guess, so that makes sense.
So, but like at 10:30 tonight or last night, I was like, I'm not lasting. So
That's how I feel.
But yeah. So should we just dive right into it?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, this
Andy.
episode was really, really cool. There's a lot of cool things to talk about, so I'm ready.
Yeah, we are getting more mystical, magical history lessons, as you will, throughout this. Yeah, which is perfect because I'm literally reading a Greek mythology novel as this is happening, so I'm getting it from all over. But yeah, so I mean, they ended up in Karachi. Didn't see that coming. But yeah, we got a lot more than that. She's just racking up the fellow suitors at this point. What is she at? 3? Bruno.
Oh, you mean guys? Oh.
Yeah. Anyone she comes in contact with is potentially a crush. But I like the episode. I had no problem with it. I'm starting to dig the fighting.
So before we get into that, from that response, is it safe to say it's not your favorite of the 4? Because it's my favorite of the 4.
I think I still love episode 1.
Okay.
Just because it was so, like, with all the different stuff that it just, like, with the writing all over the screen, just the, like, I think it would take a lot to take me out of episode 1 just because of I was blown away at how different it was than anything Marvel before. But like being my favorite, if like it's a 10, the rest are like 9.5s.
Okay.
Just as comparison. Every episode has been consistently great. There's just something that just like blew my mind with the first one over the fact that there was just like the writing, the pop-up bubbles, just everything. I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. So
the floating writing continued in this episode, which I thought they did it in very creative ways this time. Mm-hmm. We saw like the clouds at one point, and then like the text happening in the plane window and stuff. No, I think this is my favorite of the four so far. I can't really pinpoint as to why.
Had the most
'Cause-
action.
Yeah, and maybe, and it's funny. I was thinking about it, and I love myself a city chase scene. I always have. I don't know what it is about a city chase scene. We saw it in Moon Knight. We've seen it in plenty of other, television shows and films throughout history. I just love a chase scene, specifically inside a city, and specifically when it involves cars. In this case, they're not cars.
When it's not in the United States.
Well, I mean, that's a huge plus too, because you have to be creative with how you do things. Specifically here, because their modes of transportation are a lot different than ours.
Mm-hmm.
What they use, and I don't know what those things are called. The 3-wheeled motored.
They're like
Tut-tuts. That sounds familiar.
I think it's. I'm literally drawing from The Amazing Race. That's what I'm trying to.
I know. So am I.
Always
so am I.
And I think they're.
Yeah, and honestly, maybe that's why I love it so much, is because I'm an Amazing Race fanatic. Like I love the Amazing Race. I don't know, but you're right. The action was phenomenal. Sorry, I keep yawning, everybody. It's been a very long day. I apologize. Wednesdays are usually some of my rough days, but I thought that the action and the creativity of certain things was super cool. I'm a broken record when I say this, but mythology hooks me. Mythology hooks me like very few things will. And the second we learned of the Red Daggers, and we kind of opened up a little bit more of the idea of where the clandestines come from, but also their ultimate goal. That visual was really cool. How essentially they don't agree with me. I apologize, everybody. Essentially, their world is like right next to ours, but we just can't see them. They're sitting right there.
I had to rewatch it. It's so dimensions. It's funny because we spent how long did we talk about it last episode, and then we get an answer to it this one. So everything is dimensions are layered on top of the ours, essentially. So now we know dimensions are not like timelines where it's like think of strings, just like straight lines. It's just
I think that's
on top.
That's kind of what I took it as after seeing Multiverse of Madness, because the way Clea just literally cuts through one of our dimensions. Like it's almost like just walls, like paper thin walls are standing between the two dimensions. Because like she literally cut in the middle of the sky, and a dimension popped up, which means it's just there, but you can't see it. Yeah. And this is just another thing kind of backing it, whether it's right in front of our face or below our feet. It was.
And how many times have we seen the mirror dimension where it's literally just
exactly? So it was a really great visual to kind of see what they were talking about with the clandestines. And I apologize if the bark, the UPS guys here, which is why they're barking. So it was just really cool to see, and also more understanding as to what the ultimate goal of the clandestines are, or the Jinn, excuse me. And then you throw in the stuff with the grandmother and how.
I would say clandestines was right.
Well, they're
because these.
Oh, I guess they she's a Jinn, but the clandestines are, I guess, considered the bad people, right?
I think
that's kind of what we're going by.
Yeah, because Kareem at one, not Kareem, Waleed.
Karamon? Oh, yeah.
Waleed at one point said, if Thor landed in the Himalayas, he'd be a Jinn too.
Yes.
So I think Jinn is going to be more of a name given versus clandestines.
I think like the most simplest terms is that Jinn is what the human race is called compared to what clandestines can be considered to the Nazis.
Okay, we're going with that. deep into.
I'm just saying, like,
Nazis.
specific names. Like, Nazis are humans, but they're literally the Nazis because they're bad people and they have a name.
Yeah, they're just
obviously there's a lot of different examples, but I went for the gut.
Well, he's German, so what do you expect for him? But yeah, I would assume you were right by saying clandestines are.
Okay, so we'll continue to call them clandestines. I love that we're now in a complete understanding of who they are and what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They want to essentially swallow our world.
Kind of cause an incursion.
In a way, yeah. I think it's like
a dimensional incursion.
I don't want to get into this again because we spent like 30 minutes going back and forth on it last week. But
I left with such a headache. Just like my brain.
It was so fun doing that last week. But just for the sake of time today, sure, we'll call it kind of an incursion. But yeah, they essentially just want to take over our world. They don't want to just go back to theirs. They want to take over ours. Or kind of swallow ours in a way, not really take it over. Yeah, they want to
merge it.
They want to combine the two of them, but have their world kind of be the prominent factor in that world. So yeah, I think I love where the story is headed. I've said it and I'll continue to say it. When you bring such things in with mythology, with like, long-lasting organizations and generational fights that have been going on between two different people and all of this stuff, I'm hooked. You have to still tell the story right and good, and it has to make sense, but you're instantly hooking me when you bring people in like the Red Daggers compared to the clandestines and these secret organizations and, all these different tools and abilities that these different people have. And, I also love the fact that the grandmother's just like, yeah, sure, it's happening. You're a djinn. Like, just so straightforward. I love
Grandma's
it.
not phased in the slightest.
It's amazing, which obviously is going to lead to the mother having a conversation at some point. She 1000% knows. 1000%. It's just it's a matter of when, not if.
It's almost like she's just scared to admit that this is
and I think we talked about it last week, but I think she's being overprotective of Kamala and everything because she doesn't want her going down the same path.
Of course.
She's 100% protecting her that way because of that reason. But no, I thought the episode was great. It was almost like information overload, but in the best way possible. And like you mentioned, Brian, the fighting was great. That moment where, and I don't know, did we get the kid's name, the Red Dagger kid name? Did he have a name?
Yeah, Kareem.
So when Kamala and Kareem finally turned around to the fighting pose, I'm like, oh, yes, game on. Like, here's the MCU stuff I've been waiting for.
I love how so quickly you assume in like trailers, like, there's your bad guy. And then like he appears and it's like, here's your bad guy. And then within a matter of a fight scene, you're like, no, this is a good guy and he's here to help. And I almost want to say one of the best well-written shows so far. Like, it's
why? We talked about this. It's solely focused on the character of Kamala over Miss Marvel.
Yeah, and Moon Knight did the same thing. Like, Moon Knight didn't even reference an MCU, but this one, it drops like a little like, hey, we're still in this MCU, but the story is entirely revolving.
That's why Loki is so highly regarded. It was focused on the character of Loki rather than everything else around it.
Let's be honest. The MCU's one of, if not one or two's biggest strength is the writing. Like, storytelling. And this is one of those ones that shows. And the storytelling that this show is putting on is incredible. And I think the thing for me that is so mind-opening is the fact that, like, it's kind of teaching you world events and history.
I'm so obsessed with the partition stuff. I'm obsessed.
Like, it's just so, like, how did I not ever get taught this? Like, unfortunately, it's a product of where we were born. Exactly. And it's just like those types of things where I'm just like, it's so like mind opening that it's like, how did you not hear about something like this? And now that you're seeing it, you're so like self-aware to it. And it's from a superhero TV show. And I think that's the coolest thing. Cause it's like, I mean, I would be straight up like, I would never have probably known about this had it not been for Miss Marvel. And
I
now
wouldn't
it's
know.
just, yeah.
It reminds me of the opening of Watchmen. Remember the TV show where we learned of, what was it? It was in Oklahoma City. I think it was Tulsa. It was in Tulsa. The events of Tulsa, and obviously it's not as extreme, but it's taking a character and a culture and an event that was so important and planting it inside this story that is also very important, but basing her around this entire partition event is pretty brilliant. It seems like honestly, the partition is almost the focal point of everything right now.
Oh, it's 100%. The most important part.
It's 100% the thing that is kind of driving everything for this story. It's been mentioned multiple times in every episode. Yeah. And I'm very intrigued with what happens next because obviously, spoiler, if you watch the end of the episode, somehow she traveled back to the partition. She's there. Kamala is, and it was in the 40s, right?
1942.
Yeah, it was in the early 40s.
It's the date.
So she's there.
I was gonna say it's the date Aisha left.
Yeah, but Brian, I do have a question for you, Brian. Do you think she's physically actually there, or do you think it's kind of like her walking through time, but her not really being there at the same time?
I think she's in a memory.
That's what I think it is too, but almost a different way of it being a memory. Because if she was in a memory, she'd be walking alongside someone, right?
I believe she's in Aisha's like memory consciousness of the day.
Consciousness might be a better thing. Yeah.
Of the day.
I agree with you, by the way. I agree.
Yeah. Like I don't see it being like a time type thing where it's like you open.
It's not a time travel moment. I don't think it is.
I think if I had to guess, it's an Aisha memory consciousness. That is how A, she's going to meet her, and B, like it doesn't affect anything of her being there. And I think the memory, if you will, is not trapped, but it's implanted into the bangle because it was worn by Aisha. Hence,
yeah.
Like, and I mean, let's be honest. I don't know if you can say that Najma was an enemy of Aisha at this point, but like the connection is kind of like, hey, we were both there maybe this night or something like that. And that's triggering a moment in time, if you will.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued with how, and we may not know exactly how she traveled there. We honestly don't need to know how she traveled there. All we know is that the bangle unlocked something that gave her the ability to go there. We know that it has to do with, the bangle clearly has to do with dimensional, abilities and kind of like time and stuff like that. So that's all I really need to know personally. She's there, and I think she's going to meet her grandmother. You're right, Brian. She's going to meet her grandmother.
Great grandmother.
I am great grandmother. Yeah, sorry. I am interested though. Do you think that this brings her grandmother back? As what Gordon says here is my theory is that it's going to be her that saves her grandmother. Do you think we'll continue to see the grandmother? Like it's almost a situation where Kamala doesn't necessarily change time, but there's a way for her to actually like maybe her grandmother's locked away somewhere, right? There's a chance that maybe her grandmother's actually locked away. She disappeared, etc. And Kamala is she finds her and brings her back into the fold.
I think her great grandmother is. I don't want to say like dead, but like not physically alive. And I think she's like, you know how like they're like the dimension is like a light dimension, like that she can become maybe some type of like light being, like a force ghost, essentially,
like Patronus.
that. Yeah, like force ghost is the easiest thing I can think of, where it's like she's not actually like physically like there, but maybe will like present herself in some form. I don't think that her great grandmother is going to be just walking around with them at the end of the episode. I mean, she's the great grandmother. Her grandma Nani's already like she's walking around like 100 probably. So I think it's just going to be more or less like a
But maybe remember though, I forget her name, the evil woman, the main woman, Najma. She said that they're kind of suspended in time a little bit. They don't age the same in our dimension, and this is going to open up the conversation again. But her great grandmother, like especially if she's using the ability or she has the bangle, there's a good chance that she has not aged as much as her other family members because of it. Especially because if I'm not mistaken, Najma, she looked the same in the flashback, right? Last episode.
Yeah, like a little younger.
Younger. So, I mean, there's a good chance that she's actually still out there or locked away somewhere or in kind of like a transparent state, like you said, Brian. And Kamala maybe has to unlock that or find a way to get to her. Or maybe she is just kind of gone and that's why she got transported back to the past to learn of what happened and maybe where the other bangle is or whatever, you know? I mean, there's clearly an end game to her going back to the past other than just seeing her great grandmother.
Yeah. I mean, by the end of this, I fully expect her to have both bangles.
Me too.
Me too. I'm thinking she meets said force ghost, if you will, great grandmother, and we get like a replay of that night and the events that happened to the great grandmother, and which in turn leads her to finding the location of the second bangle at the end of 5, taking on the clandestines in 6 and banishing them or whatever. That's what I would assume is going to play out. If I had to pick a mode of looking forward, that's where I'm going with it.
It makes sense.
I don't see her walking around being a part of the family after this. To be completely honest, sometimes I'm getting nervous and thinking that the mom is not making it out of this. Like
her mother?
Yeah. Just because
I think her mom's gonna be fine. I don't.
Her mom. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I don't think her mom is in the comics. I know her mom is dead in the video game.
That'd be pretty dark if they killed her. I mean, that's pretty heavy stuff for the first season.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Like, interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued and interested on where this is gonna go. You know how, because the clandestines are clearly very powerful, but there's 2 of them are dead now, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. The really annoying 2 women
left, right?
Adam. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. That actor is horrible. He drove me nuts. Every single time he was on the screen, I hated him. He's dead, and the other one is dead. So yeah, it's just the woman.
The 2 women.
Najma. Yeah.
Which, I mean, there very well could be more out there. Who knows?
They got taken out. It was dope by the Red Daggers.
Yeah.
Apparently the Waleed is like famous level Bollywood director actor. I don't want to even
the actual guy.
Yeah, the one that's was
cool.
On for like 5
seconds.
He
was super cool. I mean, he was
awesome.
a great actor. I love his voice. His voice is really
It was
good.
giving me I've never seen the movie, but it's what's the Mummy guy from, I think it's the second Mummy, the guy that is like in the black all the time. I forget. Just ignore what I'm saying.
Oh, you're talking about no, he's in the first one too.
Oh, is he?
He rides the horses and they're the protector of Imhotep.
Yeah.
Making sure nobody gets inside. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Where
he's in the first one too.
It just gave me him like all the history and stuff, like all that.
Yeah.
Like I was getting that vibe.
Yeah.
So
no, I thought the Red Daggers were really cool, and I loved again the visuals that they kind of used for that. Does fair, thank you. I
would have never got that in a million years.
No, me neither. But I thought the episode was really cool. I loved seeing the culture, obviously going there and experiencing it through Kamala's eyes. I love that whole moment where she wears jeans and isn't supposed to. She's a 16-year-old kid. Like, of course she's not going to know.
She's like,
never being there.
Outfit.
Yeah.
With a Avenger Con t-shirt.
Yeah, a New Jersey shirt.
Yeah.
But I honestly, like, as much as I love the episode, the stuff that kind of like that I'm most interested in talking about is just the stuff that's like coming, the partition. And do you think we're going to travel to the other dimension at any point in time? Or do you think we'll see it at least?
I don't think so, personally.
Okay.
I think if we do, it's just going to be like a glimpse type thing. I think as far as the like traveling, if you will, it's going to be the what we're in right now, the like flashbacky partition, whatever you want to call it.
And do you think the clandestines die at the end of the season? The rest of them?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
If all of them are, so the other lady, I don't know her name, Najma, maybe getting trapped somewhere. Like, I don't want to say exiled because she got exiled to Earth, but like maybe like in some type.
Was she exiled though? She was exiled?
Yeah, she said we are exiles.
Oh, okay.
Which, like, it's funny because to me, like, if I'm, and I've thought this exact thing since episode 2, where they appear. Yeah, 2.
The clandestines?
Yeah.
I thought we met them for the first time last episode, I thought.
Yeah, but like you got their history and stuff from the second one, didn't you?
No, the mom showed up at the end of episode 2.
Oh, you're right. So 3. If someone tells me they're an exile, I immediately go,
yeah.
Why'd you get exiled?
But she's a 15 or 16-year-old kid.
I know, but like even hearing that word, I like that red flag when I hear.
Well, for me too. Yeah.
So it's funny.
It's not a good word. It's not a good word.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe she just gets like evaporated because I mean they're made of like light essentially. They're from the light dimension or something.
Like, do you think the show's gonna get that dark though? Where I know that we've seen some people get killed, but like
that's why I'm saying I could see her being like trapped in some.
Maybe Clea comes and takes her.
No, because then she'd go to the dark dimension. I think she's gonna get trapped in some type of middle ground realm or something like that.
Empty space.
Yeah. We'll never see her again. But like, it's just like, she's not going to flat out be like, I don't see them. It's not like Kamala is going to kill her. Like, so that makes me think, like, if you're the main villain, 90% of the time, your main character is going to be the one that takes them out. I don't see her taking them. You think she's going to kill her?
I think the great grandma is going to. See, I'm on the train of Aisha coming back.
See, I'm not. You and I are on opposite trains on this one.
I do think that because of the power source and where they are from and the explanation so far, that I do think that Aisha is somewhere out there.
Or maybe she gets trapped in the bangle.
That's possible. That's very
I don't know how
possible.
that stuff works, but every single time she's touched the bangle, which is twice, this stuff has happened. I don't know how. Again, I don't know how it works, but
I feel like
because when she first put it on that first time and she went like flying back, it looked like there were people. Like there
100% was, but in that dimension, like how we perceive them from our dimension.
Yeah, so I'm thinking
they look like light. They look like bodies of light, essentially.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe she somehow gets trapped in something like that in the bangle or bangles. Maybe there's a good bangle and a bad bangle, and she gets trapped in the bad bangle. I don't know. I don't see her being killed.
Yeah, I don't see her being killed because she has a son specifically in this world.
Who she did dirty in this episode.
She did super dirty too. Like honestly, now that I think about it, the episode has a lot of mystery around it. There's a lot of questions going into these last two episodes.
It's a fantastically written show. Like it has, I would, next to Loki, I think this is the most thinker of the shows. Where you're just sitting here like...
I don't know, man. Moon Knight, there was a lot of shit between Moon Knight. Excuse my language, but there's a lot of stuff between Moon Knight.
You and I have gone off on some intergalactic, interdimensional...
Well, we went off on multiverse versus dimensions is what we went off on. And that was for like a 20-minute conversation that didn't really get us anywhere. It was fun as hell, but it didn't really get us anywhere. But you're right. I mean, it definitely opens up a lot of... It's just because it's such a new space in the MCU that we haven't seen before. Like different dimensions and people from different dimensions and like different powers and the fact that Kamala is she's one of them by blood, not like actually from there, but she's like half.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What is it? What's the people called? The
Nor.
Noon? Nor. I almost said noon.
And they made a point to say she's half human, half Nor in this episode.
Yeah, her grandmother said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her grandma's got something up her sleeves, man. She gives me such...
The best part
she's got something, man.
The best part of the show is the cast and the family. Like, every family member is so perfect. Like, it's just... Grandma, Nani is just so perfect. The mom is just that overprotective mom that has a heart of gold. Dad is like the softie that has it wants to be tough. That's
afraid to speak up to the mother.
Yeah. The brother's just that wild card brother. Like, it's so well done. Toffees. Yeah.
Facts, Andy. Facts.
Yeah. I am really enjoying the show so much. Another thing, the Department of Damage Control prison, we've seen that before.
Yeah. Which we saw a very brief of. And it was very brief, but...
Yeah, but that that was in the trailer of She-Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it just looked like an upscale sewer. That's what it looked like.
I mean... very upscale, but we know some supervillains are in there.
100%, man. 100%. That I wouldn't be surprised. That's probably where Abomination. I was gonna say Abomination's in there.
Oh, he's 100% in there.
And yeah, I mean, what other villains could be in there that we know of? Vulture, Scorpion.
Who knows those ones? I don't even want to speculate into the spider area.
Let's see. What other villains outside of that? Yeah, I'm thinking through all the villains. Most of them have died.
I know.
Most MCU villains have died.
MCU villain keeps their villains pretty much in the grave. If it would be, it'd be like a one that could come back eventually. Taskmaster escaped. Zemo's free, right?
Zemo's free.
free. I'm trying to go through the Thunderbolts. Abomination's in there.
U.S. agents out there.
U.S. agents out there.
Yelena
Yelena's
is out there.
Yeah.
What about Kingpin? Oh, he's technically dead. At this point.
He's got a hole in his eye right now.
But he's gonna be,
Yeah, 100%. Moon Knight doesn't have anyone.
How crazy would it be? I know this won't ever happen. But how crazy?
Oh, that's right, Gordon. You're right. Zemo's in Wakanda, right?
Oh, yeah. He was taken by the Dora Milaje.
Yeah.
He was taken by the Dora Milaje. How crazy would it be if like we had ventured more into the Damage Control clan like world, and we saw the prison and we saw the Punisher was captured in Damage Control.
Oh, we know how he.
How effing crazy would that be if we're just like going through the Damage Control prison and Frank Castle sitting in a cell because of some murders that he made on some very bad political people?
Well, we know how the last time he got out of a prison went, so I'm not.
Yeah, but that was a regular prison. Maybe this is why he's in Damage Control prison now. Just saying. John Bernthal wants to play that character again. Just saying.
Maybe Emilia Clarke's character is walking around the prison right now.
Who do you think she's playing?
An agent of something.
So I think I forgot the name.
The Scroll Queen?
No.
Oh, the chick with the green hair?
Abigail Brand.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much what everyone is thinking.
Yeah, that's who I think she's playing. She's part of SWORD, for those who don't know, which just makes sense.
I still think that the Skrulls are those two people.
But do you think it's going to be revealed in this show? I think that's the last we've seen of the Damage Control in this season. I don't know when we would see them next. Maybe at the very end.
I mean, maybe because you've got to assume episode 5 is going to stay in Karachi, but by the end of it, I would assume they're leaving. Because
I would say probably somewhere even in the middle.
Yeah.
Sometime next episode, they're going back.
Because 6, you've got a lot of loose ends you need to tie. Like, what is Bruno doing? Did he go to California? What did Nakia decide to do? Whether she's going to talk to Kamala or not? Like, those two things alone are pretty big. What is Cameron doing now that he's basically alone? So you've got to assume they're going to be back in New Jersey for episode 6.
No, 100%. I think so. I think that's where the final fight probably takes place. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure we've seen stuff from the trailer where she's in her full-blown suit in New Jersey. So,
which again, we added another thing to the.
I'm curious.
Building the suit.
I'm curious how that's going to be formed into her suit.
Bruno will probably make it.
Yeah, because her suit is very different than what she was given, but it's probably just going to be like a piece of it. But either way, you're right. I mean, we're just getting bit by bit. We're getting pieces of her suit. But they made a point in this episode. I think it was during the fight with the kid Red Dagger that they zoomed in on her red Converse because that's what she always wears.
Mm-hmm.
That's her thing. They make it a point to when she's fighting that she's using her red Converse. Also, we didn't talk about that, but I love the fact that when she is fighting, even though she is really good, they make it a point to zoom in on her face because her reaction is like, "Oh my god, I just did that."
Yeah,
it's not really like her doing it, but she's doing it at the same time. It's kind of like the power almost taking it over and doing it for her, showing that she's skilled, but it's not really her doing it fully yet, and she really hasn't fully adapted to what she's capable of with all these powers. So, cool little details.
Speaking of powers, again, I am learning along with this show, Miss Marvel. I will fully admit I was not a Miss Marvel know-all when we started this show. For someone that didn't have not grow up, she's only been around for 9 years, didn't follow her powers since the beginning, I am loving her powers in this. I think it's so cool how she's like throwing at the steps and how she like runs up it really fast, then does something. Like, I get her like in the comics and stuff, like that's like the stretchiness and her blowing up like herself to like bigger proportions and stuff like that is a big part of her and whatnot. I love this. It's so different. Like, I love seeing her do the like climbing type fight and then turn around and stuff like that. I think her powers are dope. I can't wait.
I agree.
When she goes like full blown, like at some point. Maybe not during this, but like in the Marvels, like she's clearly going to probably have a better.
I think we'll probably, her in the final fight, she'll probably have much more control over what she's capable of.
Yeah, especially if she has both.
And honestly, like, we don't know, but what if like when you put both bracelets on, it kind of was almost like not someone taking over your body, but you're like, they help, you know, like they kind of guide you a little bit.
So kind of, at least what I looked at, did you notice when she like kind of like she put it on, she kind of like tried to like full body herself? It almost was like it wasn't strong enough to like fully go. I think once she gets both on, then we're gonna get like full blown like, all right, I'm at max power type situation.
That makes sense.
To what
I agree with that
saying,
because
like it very much seemed like she was kind of just like, all right, I'm trying, but like I'm not. This isn't my full potential. Like something's missing. When she gets both, I think it's gonna be like and then all of a sudden like full body dimensional little crystal-y thing that she does.
I agree. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying it. Love it. I have no complaints so far. This is arguably the most consistently good show that they've put out. Like,
through the first 4 episodes, 100%.
There hasn't been one for me that I've been like, that was okay. Like each one, like I've been like, that was a good episode. Like I enjoyed it. Whereas like you can almost kind of pick one from each of the last shows. Like you're kind of like, okay, that one was okay. But like this one has been riding a consistency that I'm enjoying quite a lot and can't believe that there's only 2 more episodes left.
It is a little bit of a bummer that it is short, but it seems like the story is pretty this may not be the best word, but pretty self-contained. And I love that they're not going to tell 8 episodes or 9 or whatever just to extend it. If they have a 6-episode plan, go for it. It's short. I don't like it, but if
it's
that's
short,
the
but
best
the
way,
have been the best.
Yeah, definitely. If that's the best way to tell it, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I agree.
So,
and so what? I mean, we have Thor next week, so that'll be episode 5 and Thor, and then the finale after that. Then you have Wakanda Forever as the next movie, and then you have Miss Marvel or the Marvels. So
we have She-Hulk as well.
Yeah, but I'm talking movie wise. So like, her coming back
would be February of next year.
Yeah, it's not going to be that far away. You've got like what, 7-ish months maybe. So
until February, yeah.
So she's not going to be off people's radar for a while once this ends. But
agreed.
Yeah. Anything else that I missed? Maybe.
No, I think that's it. I'm just looking forward to all the reveals, and I think next episode we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, the partition and everything. So, looking forward to next week.
Me too. I think next week has the potential to be the favorite episode of all.
Yeah, I'm like I said earlier, I'm like obsessed with the partition storyline, so give it all to me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a history mind blowing, like, oh my God, type episode, which I'm very excited for. I know you are very excited for. So make sure next week you come back and check out episode 5 of Miss Marvel and our Marvel Rewind. Only 2 more. And then we won't have Marvel Rewind or Fandalorian. What are we going to do with our lives?
Oh goodness, the break. Oh,
I know.
what breaks are terrible.
It's going to be rough, but that's going to do it for us on this episode. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Check out past episodes if this is the first one you are seeing. And we do Apocalypse Now on Tuesdays. We just did movies that we are looking forward to through the rest of 2022 yesterday. So go check it out. So for Apocalypse Movies, I'm Brian. This is Jake. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.